Ladies and gentlemen of the internet and various cosms of the world, welcome to Vacant Wrestling Podcast. My name is Tyler. You already know me. And joining me today is my boy and yours, Emil. What's going on, Emil?
Sky Blue had a new look.
Sky Blue did have a new look. Sky Blue did. Speaking of AEW, when we get to it, you're more than welcome to spearhead whatever talks we have, because I did not include those in the notes for today. A little breaking the fourth wall there, but hey, you know, that's how we do when we put the notes together about an hour before. Again, apologies for last week being a little late on the pod last week. But with that being said, that makes this week's a little bit shorter. We already talked about what happened on this week's Raw. And so we'll just talk about Smackdown. And we have a couple of news scoops. Maybe talk a little bit about SummerSlam, what we think that card's going to look like. But we'll see what happens when we get there and how much time we're allowed. But hey, welcome in this week. Really appreciate it. Hope you are having a good week. Some big stories that came out of this week. Roman Reigns potentially back by SummerSlam. Apparently, according to PW Insider, they reported at one point that Reigns was planned to be back 2 to 3 weeks before SummerSlam, rather than actually making his return at SummerSlam itself. But now it seems like the discussion is to have Reigns back on WWE television by SummerSlam. This all makes sense. We got Cody. We're building to Cody and Solo. It was just announced on SmackDown where Cody basically was like, listen, I'll give you the match that you want because I want it to. So I could easily see, no interference during the match, right? But the match ends. Cody's probably going to retain. And then, Cody makes his way out because I don't want them to cross paths, right? So I think Cody makes his way out, and then all of a sudden Solo's like in the ring, ready to like be presented the Ovala, because he's been represented that every single time we see him. And then right when he's about to get it put around his neck, maybe Roman's music hits, maybe he comes out on stage, and they end the show like that. I could see something like that. What you thinking, bro?
SummerSlam, I've seen mixed takes. So apparently, SummerSlam is kind of what we thought. Let's be real. Like, we knew Roman was taking time off. We knew Roman wasn't coming back. The build of We Want Roman is so good that you can't blow the load. So I get it.
Whoa.
So I get it. SummerSlam's the easy choice, and I see people not liking that. They actually think that they could have held it off. People think that they could have held it off longer. The whole thing is what's Roman coming back to? Like what's his moves when he comes back, right? He's definitely not full time. I think that's pretty obvious. He's definitely not full time in the ring. If he's there every week, he's not getting in ring on TV. Not a chance. Nope. None of that.
No chance at all.
So the end goal is Survivor Series, right? The end goal is a War Games match. I think that's the obvious goal moving forward. The problem, or not a problem, but I guess how we get there is really the story of Roman Reigns coming back. It's not Solo. They need very little interaction. The whole goal is he's going to see all this bloodline. Roman's going to come back. Paul's going to come back. And then we have to rebuild the squad, right? So who's the squad? So we got to go find the twins. Jimmy's got to come back. That's number one. Jimmy's still hurt.
Yeah.
So that's got to wait a minute. Roman's going to have to really work on Jay, who's a Raw guy.
I mean, you know how it is with WWE with brand split.
But the bloodline doesn't matter in the brand split. No one cares when it comes to that.
Sometimes the brand split just also doesn't matter, especially when it comes to Survivor Series with War Games. There's a lot there's a lot of multi-man matches, and sometimes they make some exceptions. A lot of crossover. A lot of crossing. In order to fill teams and make things like intriguing.
Exactly. So we're already assuming it's going to be Roman and the twins. Of course, Solo has Solo and the Tongans and Jacob Fatu.
Supposedly.
So
we'll
then
see.
The fourth man is super interesting for Roman's team.
Yeah.
All signs point to Sami Zayn again.
Honestly, I'm still in the boat of Cody Rhodes, man. I think having Cody would be interesting.
Cody is such a groan for me. I understand why. I get it. The story, blah blah.
Right.
If anybody is bloodline destroyer, it's Cody.
You have two solid options, in my opinion, because you could go with the Cody option. I think that would be really intriguing to see Cody and Roman fight on the same side. I know it's like the can they coexist? Excuse me, but it's like this is a good can they coexist story, because these guys have been WrestleMania enemies, WrestleMania rivals for 2 consecutive years. We've had this whole build up. We had Cody finally beat Roman. He's the first guy to pin Roman since Jey Uso, and before that, Baron Corbin. Fun fact for you. King Corbin, to be exact. But yeah, I think that'd be interesting. But also, I like the prospect of Cody going back to defending the WWE title completely separate from the Bloodline. I've really enjoyed having Cody away from the Bloodline for a bit. The stuff with AJ, the stuff with Logan Paul, I thought both of those were pretty solid. Were the stories amazing? No, but they don't need to be. We just had this like whopper of a story with Cody and Bloodline. I'm cool to focus on the in-ring. Like, I'm totally cool for that to focus on the in-ring, in my opinion. But yeah, man, I think it's interesting. It's a little bit more complicated to get Sammy over to the Bloodline, but I think that it's possible, especially if Jay already is making the jump. And, Jay and Sammy have that kind of connection where you could pull it off, like, we need you,
Or Sammy is the one who entices Jay, right?
That too, yeah.
Like, that's the thing, too. I really wish that, maybe I don't wish, but there's some levels of how do we get this new bloodline who doesn't have any interaction with Sammy other than Solo attacking Sammy. And Sammy also has the IC title, so there's that, which makes things extra difficult from a making it make sense standpoint. I think you have to include Sami Zayn somehow, if nothing more than to convince Jay to give it a shot, because the group that goes into the Hall of Fame is Roman, the Usos, Paul, and Sammy, without a doubt.
Yeah,
that's the incarnation.
Possibly Solo. I think Solo could get in Solo.
There. That's the incarnation. So there's no reason to not have Sami Zayn in there. Other options just make less sense. They're not as fun.
Yep.
KO's kind of been there a bunch. We talked about it last time how much allure he has with the Bloodline. So I could see him being the really safe, easy choice. But no, if we're gonna do this right, we're going to do this right, and we're going to have the Tongan, Solo, and Jacob versus Roman, the twins, Sammy, and maybe The Rock comes out.
Yeah. I had there's one interesting...
There'll be a lot of Samoans and a Sami Zayn.
There will be a lot of Samoans. There already are a lot of Samoans when you think about it. Especially even if you think about ones not associated with this story, like Naomi, Nia Jax, like so many people that are involved but not involved, There's an interesting take that I thought about, and I've heard from other people that WWE is starting to create. You know how there's always the road to WrestleMania, right? It goes from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania. One of the big four leads up to the pay-per-view that we're heading to, right? I think that they're starting to build a similar trajectory with every big four pay-per-view, especially with SummerSlam being this 2-night event coming up. You think about it, right? You have, first off, the road to WrestleMania starts with the Royal Rumble. There's a big match where the winner gets a world title opportunity at the show that we're heading to, right? So they get the big title match at WrestleMania. I see a similar type of thing with the King of the Ring, with the King and Queen of the Ring getting that big match, and then you have the multi-man matches in order to like get through to WrestleMania. That's similar to Money in the Bank, right? You have these multi-man ladder matches as opposed to a multi-man chamber. And then you have the big event that we're all heading to, which is in the case of WrestleMania, obviously it's WrestleMania, and with SummerSlam, it's the road to SummerSlam. So we're kind of building a road to WrestleMania leading up to SummerSlam. Like we've had Gunther and Nia Jax win King and Queen of the Ring respectively. They're kind of equivalent to the Royal Rumble in a sense, and they get the world title match built up through that road to the big show. And I think that this road to Survivor Series could start with Roman Reigns returning at SummerSlam, and then we spend this road to Survivor Series building up to this Bloodline Civil War Games match. Man, I'm down. I'm so down. And it's interesting
I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's interesting that they also wanted him back 2 to 3 weeks early. So does that mean like they were going to have him show up on a Smackdown? If this is true, I'm not saying that this is true, But if it is, does that mean they were going to have him show up on a random SmackDown, or were they going to have him show up at Money in the Bank? And I think that's the one.
I think Money in the Bank was the answer. I think.
Yeah.
And our rest in peace, Sika. I think that's why we're in the part that we're in. I mean, we've hit a fever pitch. Like, he could have came back in New York.
Yep. Oh yeah, easy.
Like, he could have came back in New York.
Yeah.
And with that kind of segment and with that kind of crowd, there's really no reason why you wouldn't shoot for Madison Square Garden or even Toronto, Canada, for Money in the Bank.
Agreed.
Unfortunately, Cleveland gets that honor, and that just makes everybody really sad.
Fucking Cleveland.
I mean, I get it. It's SummerSlam. It's going to be in a fucking stadium. It's going to be the fucking.
It's Logan Paul's.
It's going to be
SummerSlam.
It's going to be the international crowd anyway. But still, like.
Yeah, it's fair.
Why Cleveland? Go away.
It's because of Logan, bro. It's Logan Paul. That's really it.
He should have won Money in the Bank then.
No, we
did this already.
No,
now the Logan Paul theory is dead.
Honestly, I'll give it to you. I would have preferred Logan Paul winning Money in the Bank to Drew McIntyre. I would have. I absolutely would have, because at least they would have actually. Because if he won it, he would have cashed in and actually won the title that he was going for. I would have been down for that. But hey, man.
So we have a new signing.
We do have a new signing. We do. WWE announced by Chef Michaels himself. Shawn Michaels tweeting, "Welcome to the WWE family, Stephanie Vaquer. See you in Orlando." Now, Stephanie Vaquer, for those who don't know, is one of the bigger international women's wrestlers. She recently had a match on AEW Forbidden Door, actually, representing New Japan as the I was about to say NJPW. No one says that. As the New Japan Strong Champion, I believe. And I believe that's the American equivalent, like the American title for New Japan wrestlers and women's wrestlers in New Japan. That was probably the worst way I could have explained it, but
we don't have Yusuf here.
We don't have Yusuf here. But she dropped the New Japan Strong title at that event to Mercedes Moné, making Moné a double champion, TBS champion, and
Mercedes 2 belts.
New Japan Strong champion. So there's a little bit of heat, actually, allegedly, over unfinished obligations that she's had, because she's also doing work with CMLL, which is a Lucha Libre promotion, for those who are unaware. Basically, when she went to them and said, "Hey, I'm being offered this contract from WWE," this is according to reports, this is not fact, so take it for what you will. CMLL basically said, "Listen, we're not going to get in your way. If you want to sign it, go for it, but we trust that you will make the right business decisions." So Vaquer signed, and apparently she's not able to fulfill her last dates that she was supposed to have with CMLL and New Japan. And she was actually, at the time of her signing, the women's world champion, I believe, in CMLL. So they had to vacate her title. She had a match in New Japan as well. They had to cancel that, or at least rebook that. And it's interesting because WWE usually is no stranger to allowing talent to finish their prior obligations. So I'm a little curious, was it because of WWE signing her, or was it more of a personal thing of like, she just wanted to get up and get out? You know what I mean? I don't really know. I'm not going to speculate too much on it, but for WWE, and as a WWE fan, I'm excited. I think she's a shot in the arm that the women's division of WWE as a whole needed. NXT is about to be cooking, because apparently she's starting in Orlando with Shawn Michaels, if his tweet has anything to say about it. So right now in NXT, as Yusuf put in the chat, we got Roxanne Perez as the women's champion. We've had Jordynne Grace popping in and out, potentially being signed in January, because her contract length was shortened from next summer expiration to January 25 expiration. So that's interesting.
And we know what happens in February now.
Right, February. And then we also got Julia running around, and now we have Stephanie Vaquer. So, like, this is crazy. We are feasting in the women's division of WWE wrestling. Yeah, man. What's Stephanie gonna do is my question, because I feel like right now the plan has been to put the title on Julia, the NXT women's title, that is, on Julia. So if Vaquer's going to NXT, is she gonna be like women's North American champion? Like, what's going on here?
I don't know who this girl is. I hear she's great. Like, I mean, I saw the Mercedes match, sure, but I don't really know who this girl is. So,
I'm in the same boat pretty much, but I know that she's fucking awesome.
I guess the story of her having some heat. I mean, that's fair. You're leaving people high and dry. We're trying to sell tickets here, bro. Like, I get that. Like, I would have heat too. I've had heat for those kind of things of like, you know, we're both musicians, people dropping out of a show, and it's like we were expecting you to sell tickets, and now how are we going to pull these, you know, whatever we're expecting you to draw, how are we pulling these people now? So that I get. I mean, if you want to go the legal route and the non-personal route, I mean, if you're on a contract, if you've signed a contract, you do have dates to fulfill, which I think is a very interesting way for me to look at something now as opposed to maybe 10 years ago when we did this podcast. And we've had an argument about contracts before, and I was on the other side of this, where it's like, you've signed a deal.
I remember being fervently on the side of, yeah, you signed a deal, you gotta honor that.
So I think that's really unfortunate, and I really hope that doesn't hinder her ability to get paid and to get work, especially if NXT or WWE doesn't work out, or, you know, she wants to go on to greener pastures. I don't know where age range this girl is in, so I would assume if she's been in New Japan and CMLL, she's probably, you know, not early in her career. So
she's 31.
31. All right. I mean, we know now wrestling, like, 40 is the new 30, so it's fine.
Yep.
I'm sure she can give us 10 years of a dynasty.
Yeah.
But the point still stands of, you know, you're not in your 20s. You do need your work. So if she decides to leave at 36 and she's burned these bridges, you know, that. So I hope that's not the case. I hope maybe she's burnt out, like, which is again understandable as a creative and as an artist and as a performer. We both understand the concept of being burnt. Yep. For sure. But so that is the really interesting part. I mean, as far as what she's gonna do, who cares? Like, if she's great, she's great. She's gonna come in. Yeah. Roxanne is apparently doing an open something or other, or a segment. So
yeah, she's gonna be finding out her next challenger on this Tuesday's NXT.
NXT loves their mystery signings segments.
I actually think that's gonna be Julia, because I think that's been the plan, is to have Julia take that title off of Roxanne.
Or she runs in at a takeover or something, you know, or whatever they call their PLEs these days.
I thought apparently she was backstage at NXT Heatwave in Toronto. I thought that she was going to get being there live in person. I was like, are we going to see her in the crowd? I was hoping we would. Unfortunately, we did not, but she was backstage, and I'm assuming there's a reason for that contractually. I'm sure they didn't want to ruffle any feathers without announcing that she's signing first. I'm sure that they didn't want to cause any issues there. I think I'm assuming that the reason why she did sign with WWE and kind of just blow off her last few dates with CMLL and New Japan because WWE really wanted her on these live events in Mexico. She did already have her debut in Mexico City, I believe. They did a live event. I forget who her opponent was, but she won. But they've been really, really building up. Like, almost it's reminding me a lot of Jade Cargill when they signed her. You know, they promoting her all over socials. Obviously, it took a while before Jade stepped in the ring, but Stephanie Vaquer has been all over their socials. They posted a video of her and Damian Priest backstage, which is really cool, being of similar descent, and him being a world champion and talking to her as like a self-made guy talking to another self-made wrestler in Stephanie Vaquer. I think that's super cool. So yeah, man, I think that she shows up in NXT at some point. Maybe at this point they call the audible and they say, Julia, just go to the main roster, and Stephanie stay in NXT and basically do what they planned for Julia to do.
Or the other way.
What's that?
They could send her just to the main.
They could, but by Sean's tweet, I'm a little leaning more toward NXT, but it's definitely possible. I mean, they have to stop at the Performance Center first, right?
The main roster could definitely use that needle in the arm as well.
I agree.
Somebody new, somebody fresh. Jade's not ready.
The Raw roster especially needs it, because I mean they're trying to build this undercard feud with Io and Lyra, and with Damage Control and Lyra and Caden Carter and Katana Chance, and then they have the Liv Morgan stuff. But outside of Zelina Vega, they don't have many options for Liv as opponents. So having Julia pop in for a little cup of coffee, take a match with Liv. I think that'd be kind of cool. It seems obviously now Rhea's back on Raw, so that ties that up for a minute.
We're filling out a SummerSlam card with that.
That's right. So yeah, good stuff.
Good signing. I mean, something else that I thought of very on the super low is I know CMLL and New Japan both work pretty tightly with Tony Khan these days, and I don't like feeding into the Tony Khan is a bad boss, but that also may have something to do with Stephanie Vaquer and her desire to not finish her obligations.
Very true.
I would like to believe that that's not the case, though. I that's me purely throwing out speculation.
I agree.
While not watching products,
I actually fully thought. I mean, as someone who watches the product, I'm with you. I actually initially thought that she was a surefire bet for AEW, especially competing at Forbidden Door. But I think maybe she just did that because that was part of her deals with New Japan or CMLL. I'm assuming more so New Japan, But it also gave her the opportunity to say, hey, if I like it here, may as well stick around. And she probably just said, hey, you know what? WWE's probably offering her more money, to be fair. But hey,
I mean, both of them have a pretty endless checkbook. Right now. It seeming like no one. I mean, you never hear of WWE hitting a signing cap. So.
Exactly, and this is interesting too because this now makes WWE 2 for 3 in big, high profile female free agencies in signing the free agents. And the only reason why
her and Jade being the two.
Her and Jade, well, also Julia as well. So actually maybe 3 for 4. And I would say that I'd say the only one that they missed out on was Mercedes because Mercedes left there. She didn't want to be in WWE. So they didn't really have a shot with Mercedes unless they gave her
while also admitting on a interview in the debut of her AW was like, I'll go back.
Right. Interesting.
So
yep.
I think she wanted the lesser schedule.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Fair enough.
Which is fair.
But hey, like I said already, we have this coming January. Jordan Grace's contract should be expiring with TNA in January. It initially was going to expire in summer 2025, but apparently her contract was shortened. She had negotiated a shorter term, so she will be a free agent come January. And I have a feeling she will be NXT champion by Stand and Deliver.
That's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't
know who this girl is either.
Jordan Grace?
I do, but I don't.
Okay.
Oh, her, yes.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about there. But yeah, that's pretty much the latest news there. The speculation of Roman, Stephanie Vaquer being signed. We'll see where all that leads. But before we jump into SmackDown this week, real quick, I just want to bring up NXT because we had a tag team match in the main event of NXT. So first off, it was the first week of NXT where Ethan Page, all ego, my boy, was the NXT champion. The crowd booed the shit out of him, and he steamrolled his way through the promo, did not get stumbled by the crowd booing him out the building. It was great. I think he's a solid heel champion, a good foil for Trick, and a good way for Trick to be in chase mode so he can win the title back on the first episode of the CW NXT era. But in the main event of this week's NXT, it was a tag team match scheduled between Javon Evans and Trick Williams and Ethan Page and Shawn Spears. And Brooks Jensen, who returned after his little spiral and binge into alcoholism. I'm very shocked that they actually went with that story, but they did it. Brooks Jensen got another shot in NXT thanks to Josh Briggs. He decided to make an impact. He said that like at least 3 times, so it makes it sound to me like he's going to go to TNA for a bit as well. He kicked the shit out of Javon Evans and rendered him not able to compete in that main event tag team match. So Trick Williams spent the episode looking for another tag team partner. And through the entire episode, they were dropping hints like, say his name, why'd you say his name, you said his name, Joe Hendry appearing on the screen in the background of Trick's interview. They were not subtle at all in the fact that Joe Hendry made another appearance in NXT, but this time actually had more than 2 minutes in the ring, and he was Trick's partner for this main event tag match. They won the tag match, and it actually seemed as though the focus was on Joe Hendry. So do they go Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page for the NXT title? I think they do. I think they do, and I'm super excited about that. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, you could tell from the last episode, we're definitely a fan. We're definitely fans. We said his name, he appeared, and I mean, what more do you want? I mean, that turnaround, one of those turnarounds was sick. Cameraman was on 10.
They did it in mid-match, and they zoomed in so quick too.
His moment. Cameraman said, "I've got this." The funniest part about Joe Hendry to me is that he's really a regular guy. He is a creator wrestler. Yeah. That is the best part. If you look at him, he's a creator wrestler. If you look at his moveset, he's basic call number 3. Like, there's no fucking way that I'm into it. There's no way. But it worked. I mean, when in a world where you have to do a lot in pro wrestling to make a move, make a mark, sometimes you have to leave. Sometimes you have to change your body. Sometimes you have to become this gimmick. And that's kind of what Joe Hendry did. He kind of became this gimmick. I would love to believe that he kind of lives this gimmick. I mean, it seems like on the very few interviews I've seen, it's kind of just him amped up to an 11. Which I think we all know is the best gimmicks. It's what works for Jon Moxley. It's what works for Chris Jericho. It's kind of what works for, it's what works for Sami Zayn. It's what works for Kevin Owens. It's what works for Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's
Randy Orton.
Them turned up to 11, and it's very impressive that something like this, which is very easily a jobber gimmick, it's very easy to have this kind of just be a glorified enhancement talent. But it's not. So good for Joe Hendry. His pops in NXT are insane. He genuinely looks shocked at how much people love him, and I couldn't be happier for the man. Good for him.
Yeah.
As far as him going for an NXT title, sure, why not? Fuck it. I don't think he's gonna win. I mean,
he's not.
The end goal is probably Trick. I don't love that either. I kind of wish Trick held it longer and dropped it on the CW episode and went up.
Oh,
but
that's
that's just me. I'm ready for whoop that Trick on the main roster. It's very clear the aura that he gives, even with Joe Hendry there, that Trick is the biggest fish in a pond that does not seem that big right now.
I think that's part of why I want him to stay. I think because I think I would like him to. Unfortunately, it's not really a situation of him needing NXT. It's NXT needing him. You know, it's a situation similar to the Black and Gold era where they have some people that are so like too good, but they know that they're not. The main roster is too busy right now for them to get up and get a fair shot. But NXT needs anchor talent to hold it down. And I think people like Ethan Page, like Shawn Spears, like Trick Williams are the ones that are going to hold it down. So I definitely feel that. But I think that the reason why I thought it was a good time for Trick to lose the title at Heatwave was because after this fatal four-way they had with Spears, with Page, and with Evans, it was like, where do we go for Trick's next opponent? He's just beaten all 3 of the top contenders that he would probably face, right? So, if he won, but he didn't. So if he won, it'd be like, okay, now what? You know, to me, it seemed like there wasn't enough. The talent pool isn't deep enough, and I think that.
And we didn't sign anybody.
And the main roster took a lot of people out though. They took Dragunov, they took Hayes, they took Breaker, which they were all ready. They were all 1,000% ready for the main roster. I agree, but they did not work hard enough to build undercard talent. Supposedly Dijak was somebody that was supposed to go for the NXT title as well, but they called him up early and then they released him. So that would have sucked. That does suck. That would have been really nice to see Dijak and Trick in a feud. I think that would have been good. But hey, you know what? That's not the reality we're in. This is the reality we have. Yeah, I think Joe Hendry will eventually be NXT champion. I think that he will be a solid feud for Ethan Page. I think that Javon Evans is going to be tied up with Brooks Jensen for a bit. Maybe we do a tag feud. Maybe we have Jensen and Briggs back together because Briggs was the reason that Jensen was back in NXT. Maybe we do Briggs and Jensen and Javon and Trick because I feel like they want to get Trick away from the NXT title for a minute while they do this Hendry Page, side quest here, side mission. But we'll see where it goes. NXT's cooking right now. NXT is very much cooking. Also, we had Wes Lee cut a promo where he was about to quit NXT, but the MSK music cut him off. And Nash Carter, now Zachary Wentz, formerly known as Nash Carter in WWE, who was released for problematic reasons, and Trey Miguel showed up from TNA in NXT. And so it seems like for now, the Rascals are going to be a little crossover act, reunited as a trio, except now Wes Lee has to go by his WWE name. So it's going to be Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, and Wes Lee. The Rascals are back. I think that's pretty cool. They're feuding with Gallus on the NXT side. I think they're feuding with some other team on the TNA side, and I forget who it is now, and I feel horrible that I forgot about it. Maybe it's the System. I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, that's cool. They don't have anything better to do for Wes Lee, I suppose, so may as well go for that. I thought they were going to have him challenge Ethan Page for the NXT title or turn heel, but they kept him face. He's not going for the NXT title, and they reformed the Rascals, so that's pretty cool.
I don't know who these people are.
You know Wes Lee, but in NASCAR, Zachary Wentz was the guy that teamed with Wes Lee in MSK. And then Trey Miguel was the third guy that didn't sign with WWE. He stayed in TNA, and they built him as a singles guy. He won the X Division title for a bit. So he has a lot of promise as well. So I'm intrigued to see if this convinces him to jump ship to WWE as well. And I'm also intrigued to see if WWE gets Nash Carter back.
Sure. We'll pretend like I know who you're talking about.
I don't know, man. I don't even know.
I
don't know who they are, but I know that they have a lot of chemistry together, and they're good friends, and they work well. So I'm excited about it.
Fair enough.
Bunch of small guys. It's just a trio of small guys.
Nice little trio.
The Rascals. They do a little. This is their wave. I don't know why, but it's
little
spooky
cool. Fingers.
Yeah.
Everyone just wants to be Scott Hall.
That's right. But yeah, that's where NXT's at. We're excited. We got some talent coming in. We got some matches coming up. That's always great. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump over to SmackDown. We're making good time, man. Half hour.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Let's talk about some SmackDown.
So we open up SmackDown with the Miss Money in the Bank this year. Tiffany Stratton comes out to celebrate, and she does a smart thing. She's already said that she's going after Bayley. Her main target is Bayley in the WWE Women's title, and that's cool. But she also called out Liv Morgan, and she called out Roxanne Perez. That's cool. Build that intrigue. I love to see it. So yeah, she calls out the three of them. Bayley comes out. Nia Jax then comes out because Nia is facing Bayley at SummerSlam because Nia is Queen of the Ring. And also Nia and Tiffany are this kind of, unit for now. But there's tension brewing because now Nia gets the next title shot and Nia's pretty confident she's going to win and become the WWE Women's Champion while Tiffany is Miss Money in the Bank. So now Tiffany will be gunning for Nia. So Nia's kind of like weary of Tiffany and what she's gonna do. Meanwhile, there's a funny line where Bayley's like, "This isn't Hugger Bayley anymore. This is a new Bayley." And Nia Jax is like, "What? Like BBL Bayley?" And I'm like, "Damn,
Wow.
yeah." She said, "What are you, BBL Bayley?"
Nice little Drake reference.
BBL.
I don't know. I'm here for it. Like we knew Nia was on a tear. Nia's kind of been on a tear since coming back.
Yep.
Again.
Yep.
I want to be interested. I'm not. The SmackDown women's side doesn't totally intrigue me.
Yeah.
Tiffy having the briefcase doesn't really intrigue me. Nothing about her and Nia kind of having tension.
Damn.
Really intrigues me.
He's hating.
It's not.
He's hating.
I'm not hating. That's hating.
Flame this man.
That's hating.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Like I don't.
In my opinion, Tiffany probably didn't need the case at this point, but also like the women's division is so small that I feel like none of these women really need the case. If they want a title shot, they can just ask for it.
I mean, it makes it. I mean, it makes like for TV. Like,
It makes for good storytelling, sure. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just not intrigued by it, and
Okay.
like Michin is always kind of around, which also kind of is weird. But okay.
Yeah, so that's speaking of Michin too. Nia and Tiffany then attacked Bailey, and Michin then made the save with a kendo stick. Michin's been kind of on this TV feud with Nia to keep Nia busy in the build to Money in the Bank and afterwards. And so after that attack, I think we had a commercial break. We cut back, and Nia Jax defeats Michin in a one-on-one matchup. Tiffany distracts the ref. Yeah, and I believe Tiffany distracted the ref. Bailey evened the odds a bit. But yeah, Nia gets the win with her her ass slam, I suppose. I don't really know what it's called. Oh, the Annihilator, where she kind of stands there. She like sits on them and then literally just folds her arms as the ref counts 3. It's great. Afterwards, Nia and Tiffany then jump Bailey in the ring, and they go to leave, right? And Tiffany's patting Nia on the back, like she's behind Nia, like, yeah, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. She waits for Nia to get out of the ring, and then she slowly turns around, and she's like, hush, hush, like, I want to cash in to the referee. And then Nia turns around, notices, and then goes to confront Tiffany. So that she didn't officially cash in yet, but Nia caught Tiffany attempting to cash in. So, interesting. So we continue to build tension, and it's almost, people are speculating that what happens is not as Bailey beats Nia at SummerSlam, which I really hope that doesn't happen. I don't think Bailey needs that win.
I don't see that either.
I don't think Bailey needs that win, but people are saying that Bailey beats Nia beats the shit out of Bailey, and then Tiffany cashes in. I think that's what they're building to. I just really don't want it.
It's a very safe move.
It is a very safe move. It also, like, I get wanting Bailey to have that strong win. It's like we talk about with Sami Zayn. It's like we talk about with Cody Rhodes. You know, we got to build these championship changes. We got to build the prestige and the value of WrestleMania. I get that. I'm with you. But I think Bailey's already proven that she's a top tier. Like, Bailey's been champion before. She's a 4-horsewoman woman, excuse me. We've already been there. She's already a 4-horsewoman. Like, we know Bailey's a top contender. So I don't really feel like she needs to win that. I think Nia needs that win more than anyone. I think Nia needs a big win. I think that's what Nia needs more of them. The last one she had was against Becky, and I feel like it's starting to wear off a bit. The luster is wearing off. So that's where I'm at. But, you know, I'm intrigued. I'm in for it. I'm in for the ride, you know? Next up,
when your opposing brand is doing things like Dom and Rhea and Liv, it's a good little wrestling feud, because what else can you do when there's something like that going on the other side?
Yeah, it's fair. I'm cool with a traditional wrestling feud that does not involve a man-child. I'm definitely involved in that. Definitely
some
about
tendies
it.
And some nuggies.
That's right.
He really said that on live television. I was like, no way.
That's hilarious, man.
I was like, no way, this guy.
Yo, Rhea coming back was great, though. I still got that reaction. I never posted that on TikTok. I probably should have. Anyway, we got a tag team matchup next. Wow, almost like choked on that. Tag team matchup now, as Legado del Fantasma, Angel, and Berto defeat Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. And fun fact, Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews actually have a lot of history, because I believe Baron Corbin was Apollo Crews' first TakeOver match when Apollo Crews debuted in NXT. Corbin was his first feud. And so now they're teaming. Now they're faces. And yeah, that. But yeah, basically, Elektra Lopez distracts the referee. Santos hits a high knee. And yeah, you know, Angel pins Apollo for the win. So we're protecting Corbin, which I appreciate. That's cool. Keep that up.
Next.
Great.
I wanted to say something smart, and I ran out of...
I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't have the bandwidth either.
For that.
A next segment that's pretty quick and straightforward. LA Knight comes out with a little folder, the business folder. Looks like it has a contract in it. He opens it up. There's a SummerSlam logo pasted on the top. And he announces that he has gotten Nick Aldis's permission and signature for a match with Logan Paul at SummerSlam for the United States title. The most intriguing bit about this segment is that LA Knight said he bust out the fact of life. That's pretty cool. That's about it. You know, he just said it's not He basically was just like, I'm gonna beat you at SummerSlam, and it's not whatever. It's a fact of life. Yeah.
Dummy.
Yeah. So.
Well, cool. This would have been a lot more intriguing if Logan Paul had a briefcase. I'm just gonna stay on that. This would have all been cool.
That does not affect
this. Would have all
this.
been cool with a briefcase.
No, that
this
does not
cool.
affect this.
Logan. I mean,
he's
LA
United
Knight
States champion.
LA Knight could have had a briefcase, and this would have been cool.
Yeah, I will say though.
All of this would have been much cooler with a belt or with a briefcase.
I will say though. I will say that. Damn, I forgot what I was gonna say now. Wow. Damn.
Well, while you think of it, the Logan or the LA Knight train is definitely slowing down.
Yeah, that's true.
Their long-term booking may have long-term booked a little too hard.
Yes. Yeah, he should have won Money in the Bank last year. He used it to cash in on Roman.
Could have. No.
I mean, he would have lost, but that's fine. That's fine.
Which is unnecessary. What we could have done instead was we could have just had him won at WrestleMania. He was so over at WrestleMania. Then he didn't have a match for like 3 straight pay-per-views or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not really around. Then he was in a Money in the Bank
He's been
qualifying match.
the
Then he went on Money in the
SmackDown
Bank.
before the pay-per-view staple. That's what it is.
He's so charismatic, but he's running out of steam because he's not doing anything, and that is a damn shame. I mean, I want to like factor in. It's like, well, he's definitely not 30, so
no, it's true. He probably should have been on Raw. He probably should have got drafted to Raw because SmackDown is he's having the problem that I said he would have on SmackDown and that most people have on SmackDown. And that is if you are not named Cody Rhodes and you are not affiliated in any way, shape, or form with the Bloodline, you are not going to have a meaningful story on SmackDown.
You're going to be all over the place, and unfortunately, that sucks.
Yep.
Although I don't see a place for LA on Raw either. No, we don't have the fantasy booking right now.
We don't.
So all I'm saying is I don't really see it there either. So unfortunately, we're kind of just there. And that sucks for LA Knight, who has worked so hard since getting rid of Max Dupree to make that work.
I think that he is going to win the title off Logan Paul. And I think that from there, I hope from there we have some meaningful stories. We have the potential for Grayson Waller and Austin Theory to break up and go on their own ways as singles guys. That's cool. We have Santos Escobar in the mid-card. We have Carmelo Hayes in the mid-card. Andrade in the mid-card on SmackDown. We have a lot of potential matches for LA Knight.
Andrade is a champion. Don't forget.
Andrade is a champion only on social media. He is not a champion on TV. He has not come out with that belt once, unfortunately.
Zack Ryder is somewhere punching the air. Matt Cardona, however, is doing very okay.
Matt Cardona is injured, but doing okay for sure. But I'm with you.
The real story of SmackDown is. Wait, I'm sorry. Was there?
Oh, I was gonna say for one, Logan Paul has not been a great United States champion from a WWE internal standpoint. As a wrestling fan, he's been a pretty shitty champion. He's defended twice since he won the title last September, I believe. He's coming up on a year, or October or something like that. He's only defended the title twice, once at WrestleMania, and I forget the last time he defended it. But, Royal Rumble against Kevin Owens, I believe, was the other last time that they had it defended. But, yeah, I know it's probably more beneficial from an outside the company perspective, outside of wrestling perspective, to have the United States champion show up to different things, being Logan Paul, but from a wrestling fan standpoint, not a great title reign in my opinion. I'm excited for LA Knight to have the belt. He needs it. He deserves it. And he will be a solid U.S. champion. This probably should have happened a year ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, as you were probably saying, were you gonna hop over to that main event?
Oh, the real story is the Bloodline. We know that.
Yeah,
we know that.
So just to preface, the WWE Tag Team titles were defended as DIY defended them against A-Town Down Under, and then right after the match, Jacob Fatu attacks everybody. He comes out and just destroys A-Town Down Under. He destroys DIY. We're burying the tag division for the sake of the Bloodline.
Kill them all. That's fine. Kill them all.
Great. We can reset next week. So Fatu attacks everybody, and then Solo's music hits, and the rest of the Bloodline come out. And Solo basically is out there basically saying he wants to be acknowledged, and this is now Cody's opportunity to be acknowledged. One quick thing as well. There was a
Sorry.
backstage segment earlier in the night. That was good. There was a backstage segment earlier between Randy and Cody, where Randy is like, Cody, I got your back. And also an interesting detail where Randy told Kevin Owens to stay home to be with his family. And I'm almost like, was that intentional? Because we're going to get heel Orton at some point. And he wants Cody to get beaten down and beaten up so Randy can take the title from Cody.
Except he didn't get beaten up. Well, he did, but
Randy got beat up more.
Randy decided, you know what? It's been 18 months.
Yeah.
Hit me.
And then there was an interesting quote where he said, when this bloodline business is over, you're going to have a lot of men in this locker room coming after that championship. And then everyone's like, whoa, like Orton's teasing it now. And he said, and I'm going to have your back then too. How are you going to have his back, Randy? You're going to protect him, or are you going to have it as in you're going to kick the shit out of him and take his belt?
It's going to be like a Mortal Kombat finisher. He's just going to grab his spine and rip it out of his body.
Yeah, dude.
I got your back still, buddy.
Got
It's
your
right
back.
here.
Got your
I
back.
got your back. It's right here.
Yeah,
so,
man.
I mean, this is cooking. This is what we want, right?
This is your like fall, end of year into the beginning of next year program, I think.
All of it is what you want, right? All the bloodline stuff, Cody being like, take me.
Yep.
All that's Cody Rhodes for you. Always dramatic.
Yep.
Hanging him kind of crucifix style was
hanging him with his arms out on the ropes, like tied up.
Was an interesting choice of visuals.
He had to watch his buddy get the shit kicked out of him.
White man held up on that. Never mind, we can't go there.
Yikes!
Can't go there. Bleep all that, please, in post. Yeah, and then it's gonna spiral into all of the bloodline Civil War stuff, which is gonna free up Cody to get his back taken by Randy. Pause. Randy will not win that match. He will not, but it will be a solid program. It will be a fun thing to watch. Randy is always great on the mic. Cody is always great on the mic. There will be emotion. There will be legacy callbacks. If I see Ted DiBiase Jr., I'm throwing out the screen.
He's in jail. It's not happening.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Pay your taxes.
Which is really ironic considering who his dad is.
Oh, yeah, for
the $1
sure.
million man.
So basically what happens is Cody comes out and he's like, listen, man, he's trying to be like his Cody diplomatic angry, where he's like, you and I want the same thing.
He's so 50s dramatic, like transatlantic.
He's like, so me versus you at SummerSlam. And if it weren't for Nick Aldis, I would want it right now. And so then the Sharks surround Cody. They all start to kick the shit out of him. Randy's music hits. He runs out, evens the odds, and then, tries to, and then the numbers game catches up. Cody's tied up in the ropes. They kick the shit out of Orton. They beat him down with the steel steps. And the show ends when the Bloodline triple power bombs Randy Orton through the announce table. As Solo is presented the Ula Fala, and the Bloodline throws up the ones in front of Cody Rhodes tied up in the ropes, and in front of Randy Orton through the announce table, laying on the ground, dead.
We're not being subtle with that Shield power bomb.
We are not being subtle.
Remember when that used to be like rare to see? We're not being subtle with that. We haven't been subtle with that for about a year. Just putting that out there.
So that effectively takes Randy Orton out of the story.
For now.
Kevin Owens is, I'm assuming, going to be written off TV because of, not because of the family stuff. I think they're going to use the family stuff as a way to creatively write him off TV. Again, a really unfortunate situation with Kevin Owens' family, and we hope that Kevin Owens' mother recovers and has a full recovery, happy and healthy, and everyone's all good after this all blows over. But yeah, so the story now is Cody is alone against the Bloodline come SummerSlam. Does Roman and maybe the Usos help Cody at that point?
Help? No.
Because it's almost like a 4-on-1, like Cody might need the help. And I'm with you. I don't think it's going to happen. But it's kind of wild to me to have Cody beat Solo when he has no one else in his corner helping him out.
We put ourselves in a rock and a hard place. Nobody wanted this.
Unless
Let's
they just
be honest.
book that.
We didn't.
Unless they book that Tongaloa botches and they screw up. They plan a Tongaloa botch.
What if Solo wins?
I don't see it.
I don't either. But like, it has to be spoken into existence. Like we're in such a like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty shitty position to be in, really. Like if Cody's gonna have no help, ain't no Samoans helping him out.
Right.
Ain't none of that going on. So I mean, the run-in could be Randy. Like they've taken out Randy for now, and Randy does the run-in at SummerSlam.
Could do that. Could be Randy and KO.
Randy and KO does a run-in at SummerSlam.
It's just not as interesting when it's nobody new.
PLE, you know? So everybody's there. Maybe a Sami Zayn runs out.
Maybe.
I don't know. We're shooting from the hip. If we can't have Roman save Cody, that's really the goal here. We can't have Roman save Cody. We can't do it. He can't come in during the match.
Yep.
Cody kind of can't be there. Like I don't really want to see them two look at each other yet. Like
I'm with you.
Because it's too much going on, and we know the goal is not that. So,
yeah,
like,
I want Cody to feud with coming out of SummerSlam. I want Cody to feud with Randy, and I want Roman to come back after the main event of SummerSlam, and we get Roman getting the bloodline back together to face the new bloodline leading into Survivor Series.
Hence why it's such a shitty situation, because at this point now, how do you have Solo stay in the ring? How do you not have Cody there?
I mean, you have Cody
in the ring. How do you have Roman come out? How do you not have Solo get a belt out of it? Like, how do you do all of these things?
So I think that somebody messes up in the bloodline. They try to interfere and get Solo the win, but they screw up. It's probably going to be one of the Tongans that messes up. No, I don't think they get tossed. They might get tossed. Maybe Fatu gets tossed. Maybe Solo comes out, the bloodline's with him, and then he sends him to the back. And then the Tongans interfere, and then they get tossed. Fatu interferes, he gets tossed. And then the Tongans try to interfere. They botch it. Cody wins. And then Cody's celebrating, right? Maybe Cody gets out quick, because he knows, fuck, the match is over. Bloodline could come out and attack me in full force in any minute. So Cody kind of gets out quick. He does the pyro from the ramp. He holds the belt. Pyro goes off, whatever. He makes his way to the back. Solo is still in the ring, kind of like disciplining the troops in a way, because you just fucked up. Like, now what? I had it, you messed it up for me. And then all of a sudden, boom, after Cody gets to the back, you could do the Triple H NXT trick with the Chiron in the bottom, copyright as Cody makes his way to the back, copyright SummerSlam, copyright 24, WWE, all rights reserved, all that shit. And then when you think the show's gonna end, you cut to Solo in the ring. He's looking pissed off, and then that happens. I can see it. And all you need is Roman to just stand on the ramp on the stage. That's all you need. You don't need anything else.
I would prefer him to go into the ring and maybe stare at him.
You could have him stare at him.
I prefer him not just standing on the ramp.
What if you had Solo on one side, Roman on the other side, all the bloodline that's there in the middle, so Fatu and the Tongans in the middle, facing Hardcam. And you have both of them like this, and you see the rest of the bloodline like, what the fuck do we do? Who do we acknowledge here? It's obvious they would eventually side with Solo, right?
They're going to side with Solo, yeah.
But you still have that intrigue leading into SmackDown. Roman's back, but oh shit, like, is Roman going to assume command of the troops now?
Does Roman come out with Paul?
I don't think they need Paul Heyman right now. I don't think so. They could. I honestly, I think it would be cool if he did. But I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have Paul come back just yet.
It's so frustrating. I don't because there's so much intertwining stuff. It's like, how do we get all this off? How do we make it make sense?
People are saying Brock too. People are saying Brock gets involved with the blood and helps Bloodline because of the allegiance to Paul Heyman.
I mean, SummerSlam is always the time to bring back Brock Lesnar.
You're right, but also I don't need Brock Lesnar in this. I really don't.
I could not see Brock Lesnar and be totally okay. But
Agreed.
I could also see him and definitely lose my mind. I could be like, let's go.
I don't know if I would be like, let's go, but I'd be like, all right, Brock's back. Interesting. I'd be more interested in Sammy or Cody.
Yeah.
At that point, you have Sammy drop the Intercontinental title to Braun at SummerSlam, and then you free up Sammy for that story.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of, matches that could happen at SummerSlam. I figure we're coming up with just underneath an hour. I figure maybe we finish the episode up. Maybe we just shoot the shit on what we think's going to happen at SummerSlam. Can do that and then wrap it up.
Sammy's going to lose.
So
I think we both are in agreement.
So yeah,
let's keep it quick.
Yeah, keeping it quick. Intercontinental title. Sami Zayn's going to lose the title to Braun Breaker. Braun's going to come in pissed off from the last time. Braun was kind of humbled at Money in the Bank. He comes in and kicks the shit out of Sami and wins the title. Cool.
Actually, truthfully, all of these champions are losing except for maybe Liv. Maybe Liv might win.
Yeah, I think Liv is going to win.
And obviously Cody. Cody's probably not dropping that belt. Cody dropping the belt would be a massive, massive move.
It would be a choice. Cody should hold that belt until at least when The Rock comes back. I think he drops it to The Rock.
Oh, let's not even. I
know. I think he does, but then he goes on a hero's journey to regain it, and then we'll be back to status quo. Anyway, Intercontinental title, like we said, Sami is losing to Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker comes out as a dominant Intercontinental champion. This frees Sami up for the Bloodline versus Bloodline feud. Great, you love to see it. For the United States title, as we talked about, we're going to see LA Knight versus Logan Paul, the defending champion. LA Knight's going to win, and become U.S. champion finally. And he'll be a solid U.S. champion to have. We'll set up some feuds with Santos Escobar, with Andrade, with Carmelo moving forward. Maybe Kevin Owens down the line. Who knows? That'd be great.
World title, we've got Gunther and Priest. We know Priest has been keeping that belt real warm in any way we can.
In other words, he's definitely not keeping it warm.
And that is, he is. He is.
Other people are keeping it warm for Damian inadvertently is more like it.
Details.
Yeah. So
he's the one holding it. So
but
he's
Gunther's going to take that title from Damian's cold dead body at the end of the match. Gunther's going to kill him.
Of that, Gunther's going to walk in to Germany with a world title, and that is just awesome. Even
though he's Austrian, but it's cool.
Even though Austrian and German are not the same. We did that already, though. So.
Neighbors, it's fine.
And then Bayley's going to lose to Nia. We know that.
I'm torn, but I think I'm more on the side of Bayley losing to Nia,
which is fine. We've done our deed.
Yep. Liv I think is going to beat Rhea, because I think you could have Liv and Rhea is the match at SummerSlam, right? But if you have Rhea win, then it's like we've built everything since WrestleMania just to go back to what we already were planning. I don't think that does anything for Liv Morgan. I think that hurts Liv Morgan. I think we need to have Liv win this to at least put the point across that she did what she needed to do, and she did exactly what she said. It would make her look really silly if Rhea came back and immediately took the title back. So I think they're gonna play it out a little longer, and that's great. Liv's doing the work of her career. She's phenomenal.
This is it for her. So
this is it for her.
So this is the move. Let's ride it till the wheels fall off.
Exactly. And Cody versus Solo. Cody's gonna win. We know that.
Yeah, we know Cody's winning that. We know we're very intrigued by Finn and the Judgment Day with Liv as well. We're intrigued by that whole thing of what if it's been Finn this whole time.
Yep.
Which I think is a
it's
not the safe bet, but it's definitely the option B.
See, this is the match where I think two things could happen. You have one scenario where Damian this whole time has been like, I don't need your help. I don't want it. Stay out of my business. They help anyway. Most of the time they screw up, right? And then Damian gets more mad. What if they do a thing where Damian's like, guys, listen, I really need you guys. This guy is going to kill me if I don't get help. And they don't help him. Because they're like, well, you kept telling us you don't need us, and we need you. Let's put that to the test. Do you need us or not? And then he loses the belt, and then it sets up Finn Damian moving forward. That could be cool. A choice. That would be a choice. There's also the scenario of Damian continuing to say, I don't want your help, because Damian's been like shaking people's hand. He shook Seth's hand and was like, hey, you fuck our gentleman's agreement. You can have a match down the line when I beat Gunther, which is not going to happen. Sorry. So there's that.
At least you tried.
At least you're talking like you're going to win, because Lord knows you're not. Yeah, man, I don't know. There's interest there. But he knows it's a challenge. He wants Judgment Day's help. but he knows he doesn't want Judgment Day's help. He needs to get a clean win because he hasn't yet. Either they help and screw up, or they don't help and he loses. Either way, Damian loses. Interesting stuff. And then, of course, the main event, in my opinion, the match that should main event, but probably won't. I would prefer it to be a one-on-one match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. It seems to me like they're going to add Seth and make a triple threat. And I'm torn.
I don't know why you're so dead set on that. Like, I don't understand why it can't be three things going on at once. Like, it's always three things going on at once.
There can be, but we've sacrificed so much.
We haven't, and never mind. I'm not getting into.
We've sacrificed so much.
We did this already. But
it's still okay. Still, we've sacrificed so much in order to have this Drew versus Punk one-on-one match. In my view, this story has more become about Drew and Punk. Seth pivoted to go more toward the. I'm aware of that, but I don't want more than one thing happening at once. I want the focus to be on Drew and Punk, because that's what we've been building to. This whole Seth coming back and inserting into this seems to be very, very spontaneous. Very like, well, we have Seth back now. Let's just throw him in. I just wish that they had something else for Seth. I'm not against the triple threat happening. I just don't think it needs to happen right now. I think we're rushing it.
So, I mean, who said there was going to be a triple threat? There's no graphic. Relax. It's not official. Let them work.
But now Seth's involved in the business, and we don't need him involved in it.
Seth has been involved in the business. That's to me what's not, like, working for me here with this argument is, like, Seth's been in this business.
Seth has nothing to do
in this the whole time.
Seth had nothing to do with Punk costing Drew. Seth had nothing to do at WrestleMania. Seth had nothing to do with Punk costing Drew at Clash of the Castle. Seth had nothing to do with, well, unfortunately now he had something to do with this Money in the Bank costing of Drew McIntyre because he was in the match. But that didn't need to happen, dude.
I mean, Punk was calling the WrestleMania match. That was the point. There's
well, yeah,
Seth was mad at Survivor Series when he returned. Like,
but that hasn't been the focus.
He was going for Seth when he was going in that Rumble. He was going for Seth when he was going in that Rumble. I get it,
but that hasn't been the focus, dude.
It's all connected. That's the thing. This is MCU level shit, bro. Like, this is what we're doing. Everything ties into something. Everybody talks about somebody, or somebody gets fucked because of somebody else.
Know. I don't like it.
That's the raw way of things. So
I don't like
it. Stay consistent. Are we consistent here? Because we don't like.
No, this isn't consistent because we've been building Drew
versus
versus Punk without Seth. This entire time has been building to Drew versus Punk one-on-one. Seth has nothing to do with everything that has led up to this point. Seth didn't injure Punk. Seth didn't cost Drew these titles. Seth didn't cost Drew the world title match in Scotland. Seth wasn't there. Seth was injured. Seth was on the shelf. Seth was resting up. Let this story play out. We are rushing it. We can have Drew versus... No, we don't need them both playing out. We can have Drew versus Punk one-on-one and then insert Seth. We're rushing it. We are rushing it. That is the problem. Instead of getting more than one scenario out of this, we can have Drew versus Punk and the triple threat, but instead we're only getting the triple threat.
I think if this didn't, I think if Punk didn't get injured, I think you would have had an entire. I mean,
but that's not what happened.
This wouldn't happen this way.
I know, but that's the argument, and we were just talking about it because I posted on TikTok that follow us, by the way, at Vacant Wrestling, that they're ruining this story, and I'm getting flamed in the comments, and I get it. I get why people like the story, but listen, I'm not wrong. We're rushing things here. We don't need to rush to this triple threat because once we have this triple threat, the luster for Drew versus Punk one-on-one isn't as strong, in my opinion. It's not. Seth is muddying this feud because for me, I've been deadlocked on this feud between Punk and Drew, not Seth. But now that Seth is there, I'm now looking at what happened back in November, back in December, back in leading up before Punk got injured. I don't want to look at that right now. Seth got injured. Seth was focused on the bloodline. Clearly, it wasn't important to Seth if he was more focused on the bloodline. I'm just saying. So
I mean, that's why he lost the title, because he wasn't focused.
Right.
That was the gimmick.
Right.
Because
so
he was focusing on the bloodline. He was focused on Drew and on Punk as well. He was focused on Punk. Shout out to That's a Spicy Meatball for objectively incorrect. Objectively, I agree.
I don't think so. Everything's subjective, but fair enough.
It's anyway.
I think we're getting to the other end of the extreme now. We used to have people that hated on everything Vince did because he's a shitty writer, and now we're getting to the extreme where we're praising Triple H for everything, even when there are some things that could be better. That's my take.
I hated on the Wyatt 6 thing. Like I know.
I'm not saying you in particular. I'm just saying in general. We have some loyalists here that are working a little hard. I'm calling it as I see it. Guy. I am too, but I'm calling it like I see it in the moment, and I think that is a better way to go about this.
I think it is so realistic that some guy goes, "Hey man, now you're fucking with my shit because I didn't win a world title because of you." I think that totally makes sense. I think 6 months ago
it makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't.
When he was yelling at Punk, being like, "You're not even in the match. Get out of the way." I was like, I got it. Punk's been low key fucking with Seth just as much as he's been fucking with Drew.
But now we're acting like Seth hasn't been gone for like 6 months. Sorry, 3 months. I'll say 3 months.
For 6 months.
I mean, 3 months.
Yeah. But
we're playing with a story that we have in our heads, and with a story that we had 8 months ago. The story has changed from then to now. The story is different now, and we're acting like this last few months of Seth being out of the story and being injured never happened, and I don't like that. And I think that, and the reason I don't like it is it starts with Drew winning Money in the Bank and failing that cash-in. None of that needed to happen. If that didn't happen, Seth wouldn't have gotten involved, and I wouldn't be complaining. Just saying. It still would have been Drew versus Punk. We would have had a Mr. Money in the Bank somewhere running around. Probably would have been Jey Uso. Yeet. And it would have been a good time. But now we're in this. We lost the Money in the Bank. We have a triple threat when we could be doing a one-on-one and still have a triple threat down the line. But instead, we're kind of exhausting all of our options at once in terms of stories we can tell.
Or we still will get the one-on-one because there's no graphic.
But also,
and then we'll have a triple threat later when there's a world title.
But also, Seth doesn't need to be involved in the story at all, period, right now. Especially if they're building to one-on-one. But the fact that he's involved is telling me they're building to a triple threat.
41 will be a triple threat. One of them will have the belt, and that will just be how it's going to be. But we're not there right now. So, I mean, again, we're playing a long game. If Drew and Punk go now, okay, cool. If Punk and Drew goes on for another pay-per-view after that, I think Bad Blood Hell in the Cell is what they're looking for Punk and Drew. I do. I think
low-key,
I think that's
low-key, especially if I think right now they're still worried about if Punk is cleared. Punk still hasn't been cleared. They're hoping and they're planning that they're assuming that he will be cleared by then to make the match official. But if not, what do you do? I don't really want to see Drew versus Seth one-on-one again. I really don't.
I don't think they're going that route.
No.
I think even if Punk gets cleared, I don't foresee a triple threat for really until before January.
I'm hoping that they don't have a triple threat. At this moment,
I don't see that.
At this moment, Seth is involved, so it's showing me that they will be doing a triple threat. I will change my mind once they announce a one-on-one versus Drew and Punk, and I will state but regardless, Seth is now involved in this, and he doesn't need to be. That is my gripe.
I think that you're so. I mean, you're conditioned, right? Let's face it. Like, wow, just the same way. Because I listen back to these, and then I listen to the takes on, and I can tell that you're still very much conditioned. I mean, it's 15, 20 years of watching. I get it. I get why we're so like we can't see the way out. You're in a Vince world, I would go, yes, this is a triple threat in a heartbeat. In a Vince world, yes. In a Triple H world, I can see the split very clearly. I can see the split turning into two separate things for Punk, which then will automatically turn back around and turn into a two-way thing for everybody, which will then ultimately turn into a triple threat match. I can see all of that happening. I can see I can even see it like going on for longer. Somebody's getting a world title out of this, and then somebody is winning the world title off of somebody out of this. Like that's
I hope it's
the
Drew.
Goal.
At the end of all of this, I hope it's Drew.
That's the goal, right? I mean, Seth doesn't need it. Punk will probably get it, and then Drew will take it off him.
Yeah,
I think that's
so.
a fair bet. I think there's a double turn that is in there somewhere. I think Seth can play the tweener for the rest of his life at this point. I can definitely see Punk taking a heel route. I can definitely see Drew turning into the definite face. Right now, none of them are faces, and that's okay.
Well,
and
Seth's a face.
And I know he's not.
Seth is a face.
That was not a face promo.
Seth is a face
against him.
there is no face and heel.
So which one? So which one is it? So which one is it?
Well, I'm using your. You've said it. Your logic.
I'm okay with this logic. That's where I was going.
The
with this whole
logic to
thing.
me is that
you,
Seth is.
You don't like
the logic
that.
to me is that Seth is the face, Punk is Punk, and Drew is a heel. That is my logic.
I think all three of them are tweeners in
I'm
the
cool
best
with that.
possible way.
I'm cool with that.
I think because like
I think in Triple H's WWE, I'm with you.
Everybody's a tweener right now.
Yeah,
right?
at Triple H's
everybody
WWE,
can do whatever.
I am with you. There is no hard cut face and heel in Triple H's WWE.
Everybody can do whatever.
Case in point, Damian Priest.
Like Jey Uso running from a match is definitely kind of a heel move.
Kind of, yeah. But he played it in a face way.
Him, he's like, no, dude, I'm out of there.
LA Knight is a character. He's a heel, but
LA Knight is a heel.
He's a heel toward heels.
Yeah, so we like it.
And Damian Priest, he's played heel as like a Judgment Day leader against Drew McIntyre going in when Drew was the big face in Scotland, and now he's shaking hands with Seth Rollins and saying, you'll get a title shot because you were screwed,
So all of this realism, and now all of a sudden we need a clear-cut heel and face.
We definitely don't, but there's definitely people that are more face and less face and more heel.
It's like the reputation in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, it is. It's a sliding scale. It's a sliding scale. Like here's the scale. Punk's like right there in the middle. Seth is like right there. Like he's like just a little more face.
He's edging towards good guy.
He's just a little more face, and Drew is just bad. Drew is just bad guy. He's just down there.
Except in Scotland.
DM Hunk. Actually, maybe he's like halfway between because like he's kind of funny sometimes. So
dude, he's funny.
He is funny.
I mean, everybody's funny when they're salty. It's
man.
It's
absolutely.
It is what it is. Anyway, I to kind of wrap that up, I don't foresee a triple threat at SummerSlam. I see a one-on-one.
I hope so.
I
just don't know what Seth does outside of this, especially now that he's involved.
He may not. He may not be there, or he may do commentary.
He will be there. Yo, Seth as a special guest ref. Seth as the ref, or Seth on comms, maybe because then they can have the dichotomy of Seth and Punk both being on comms or whatever.
Exactly. There's things we can do that gives Seth something because he needs to be on the show, which I don't believe. I don't believe that logic.
I mean, he's back. I mean,
I get it. It's
if
SummerSlam,
he wasn't on TV after Money in the Bank, I would be cool with it. But he's been on TV, so I'm like.
So I get it, but at the same time, like you can take pay-per-views off, kid.
You can.
It's fine. It's fine. Becky's taking a lot off.
Becky is soft retired. She's not contracted. She let her contract expire, so she's just out.
So
they've been saying
that's that.
They've been building it. They've been billing it as sending Becky into early retirement, which is crazy.
Anyway, so after all of that, that's a lot of WWE for me.
Yeah.
Mariah May turned on Toni Storm.
That's cool. I didn't watch any AEW this week, so
I watched the segment. It was a good segment.
I bet it was a good segment. I should have watched it.
It was a good segment.
They watched it. I'm shocked that Toni was not the heel.
May.
I'm
Toni,
shocked. But she's cheered too much, right? I guess she's kind
of cheered a lot.
Yeah.
I'm kind of retapping back in. I've been really unfocused in a lot of aspects. I didn't watch the Swerve promo, but I did watch the Will Ospreay promo. I don't love him on the mic.
What you mean you don't love Will Ospreay, bruv?
It's a little too. Oh my gosh, it's a little too. I'm not gonna say it's a little too bruv, but it's a little too bruv.
Yeah,
there's a bit going on. Something about the way he delivers it. It's like he's kind of yelling at me. He's saying slick shit, but he doesn't sound slick while saying it. Like if anybody else had done that promo, like Punk could have did that promo, and I think I would have liked it more. Yeah, and he could have said the exact same thing.
Okay, fair. It was a delivery. It was a delivery.
Like something about the way that Will Ospreay delivers things, and I know that's just the way he talks. Like I gotta get over it.
He's a Brit.
Like something about I can't do it.
I get it.
It's a little slow and it's a little too rhythmic in a weird. It's a weird rhythmic cadence. Like I can't do it.
Valid.
But it was a good promo. Like I like the promo is good. Like I can't say the promo's not good, and I can't even say that he's not over because he's
he's
over
very over.
He's very over.
He's very over.
I like that he's turning into this face for AEW that you can't help but like.
Yep.
I really appreciate that. It's in a world where, again, AEW doesn't have a ton of faces, and especially not ones who seem like flag wavers. I do really appreciate guys like Will Ospreay and Swerve for really picking up the mantle
Yeah.
And doing all of the things that company needs them to do and more.
I mean this in a good way. They're trying to tell a Cody-esque story with Will, I feel like this longer, drawn-out rise to the top. And I'm cool with it. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think that Will is the perfect person that you do that with.
There is nothing wrong with entering a company as a big fucking indie name.
Right.
And not going for the world title immediately. There's nothing wrong with it.
He's also already international champion too, so they might just make him a double champ.
So like it's fine.
Yeah. I think he drops that title though. I think at All In, I want them to do Ospreay versus Takeshita, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But I'm like trying to think of who Will would drop the international title to, and the only person I think that comes to mind in my eyes is Konosuke Takeshita. I just butchered his name, Konosuke Takeshita. Being in the Don Callis family, the recent thing was like Will fulfilled all of his obligations contractually with the Don Callis family, so Don Callis let him go. They left. They went their separate ways amicably. And I think it'd be interesting for him to turn around and say, you know what, you left. Guess what? Here's your opponent for All In, and it's Takeshita. And Takeshita beats Ospreay to win the title. I think that would be really cool. I think Takeshita needs a big win like that to be taken seriously. I think he's, by all means, ready for it. I think he deserves it. And Ospreay can take that loss on his longer path to the world title. But, AEW's got me for that story. I'm following it. I'm with it. I'm shocked that they went the way of Danielson as opposed to Hangman for the Owen. Danielson and Swerve is definitely a great match on paper, just not one that I was particularly looking forward to when we had the prospect of revisiting Hangman Swerve at All In.
So did they repeat a segment? Because I feel like so Britt Baker is obviously feuding with Mercedes right now. And did they just like redo a segment? Like I feel like that segment about
redo?
Like so Mercedes 2 weeks ago was in the ring with a bunch of balloons, gonna do like her like celebration of her being Mercedes 2 belts. And then this past week, she was doing the same thing. And then Britt Baker came out again and challenged her.
Interesting.
Again, did they just run it back? Did they think that we weren't going to remember? Like, I don't. Like, it looked like they just ran the same segment 2 weeks in a row. Because I turned on the Britt Baker segment because I watched the segments. I can't sit and watch a wrestling show, especially not AEW. I can't do it.
Yeah,
but I was just like, what? Didn't I just do this? Didn't I just get invested in this? Didn't I already watch this? And so I'm scrolling through their YouTube right now, and no, it looks very similar, and that's very unfortunate and strange. But we know Britt will hopefully save us all.
Almost like I was right when I said that Mercedes is overrated.
No one said that.
I said it.
No. But no, we're not. That's not really the.
It's a one.
That's not really the point.
The fact that we're doing repeat segments to me sounds like it's a one-dimensional character.
I mean, it's just like all of her returns, right? Like every time she came back, you're like, wait, didn't we do this?
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's overrated, in my opinion. There's no depth. There's no depth to the character, in my opinion. It's one-dimensional.
I mean, she knows what she is, and she does it very well. But obviously,
But it's a one-trick pony.
We're looking at Britt Baker to save us. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the goal, which is fine.
I don't know if that is the goal. I think Mercedes goes over there. That's my opinion.
Yes.
That's mine. That's where I'm at with it. I'm not optimistic that Britt can save us.
Bryan Danielson is winning the Owen Cup, and with that, he is not only busting himself open, he gets a fancy Owen Hart belt to go along with it. And he also, and this is the important part here, AEW may not want you to remember, but he gets a world title match.
He does.
He gets his world title match. He gets it at All In. For all intents and purposes, this is AEW's WrestleMania. And with that being, of course, in Wembley, means big stadium, big crowd, big wins.
Bryan
Danielson will win this AEW title. He will.
Wow.
It's kind of unfortunate for Swerve, who also has announced that he's in Blood and Guts.
Yes, and he's leading Team AEW versus Team Elite. Which is wild because they announced...
I didn't watch the segment, so I'm not getting into an Elite thing right now, but I will talk about Elite next week.
I'm just saying it's wild because they announced Mark Briscoe first, and then Swerve was like, I'm in it too, and I'm the leader. Like, damn, like, way to bury Mark Briscoe in that. But, all right.
I mean, if anybody should be a leader, it should be a world title holder.
Yeah, it's
maybe if we're doing a takeover or whatever thing.
That's why I'm almost like maybe Swerve retains against Bryan.
I don't foresee it. I do foresee a Bryan retirement run, and this is the Bryan retirement run.
Man, I don't know
anything
though.
Was a Bryan retirement run. I don't foresee him losing and doing all this. He hasn't held that title yet. Tony Khan has been somewhat sparing with Bryan, which is really interesting.
I respect it.
I'm sure Bryan was very much like, please don't put me in here and make me win this world title. I feel like he was like, I just want to go here. I just want to cut myself open. I just want to wrestle a little bit. I get to work with Mox, which is
he said, I am not Chris Jericho, so don't book me like him.
He's like, I get to work with Mox. That's cool. I get to hang out with Wheeler Mueller. What's his? Oh my God,
Wheeler Yuta.
Wheeler, that guy. He's super. That guy's cool.
And Claudio.
I get to hang out with Claudio, who I love, and I've been on the Indies with for 30 years almost at this point. Like, I get to do all of these fun things with all these people that I've known for years. Please keep me away from all that bullshit. And he's done very successfully at staying away from all of that bullshit.
Definitely.
And he shows up on the company, and it doesn't feel weird. He doesn't look like an ex-WWE guy. He kind of, and that's good for him. I have all the. I actually really like Bryan Danielson in AEW. Actually, one of the better grabs, and one of the grabs that they were able to keep from getting tarnished somehow. He's
doing some agent stuff too, or producer stuff as well.
And I would assume he was doing some of that at the end of his WWE run too. He was doing some of that in the Thunderdome. He was producing because he had the opportunity to. And why wouldn't you take that opportunity? Because you're getting older, you got to start thinking of other plans. Long story less long is Bryan's winning this title. This is his last world title that he will probably win. Regardless of whether he takes an AEW reduced schedule, an AEW retirement, pro wrestling retirement, a WWE return, a WWE retirement, WWE Hall of Fame, all of that, he's not winning another world title belt after this. So those of you who have been waiting for the Daniel Bryan world title run, this is it. So enjoy it, enjoy the ride, because we won't keep him much longer.
So does Ospreay win it from Bryan Danielson, and that's it? Is that his last match?
Maybe at a double or nothing. I could see Bryan holding this title for at least the next 8 months. He's definitely holding it. He's definitely going to win and hold it through the fall, which will take us through Christmas, which will take us. He maybe a Revolution. I know Revolution's kind of a big. They treat that one like a big deal. He may drop it to Will there, but I do, just for that around WrestleMania hype that AEW will sorely need.
Yeah, definitely.
Because all the WrestleMania theatrics will be in full swing.
Yep.
So they do need something to kind of keep himself in the conversation while we all freak out about Las Vegas.
Correct.
So Will's going to probably take it off of Daniel, and that is totally okay. Danielson is going to hold this at least through most of WrestleMania season next year. So that's where we're at there, and I'm totally okay with it.
That's fair enough. So I think that rounds out our show for this week.
We other things that I didn't watch and I definitely didn't look into. There's Rampage bullshit.
Anyway,
Rampage exists. Collision though.
Oh right. I apologize.
The Bang Bang Gang are apparently not Unified Trios champions, and I don't know what that means because I didn't watch. But
I believe they got stripped because
they definitely got stripped.
Somebody got injured.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
And oh well, we'll figure it out.
They should just not bring the trios titles back. They should just
I don't know
not.
why they carry so many belts. Like they carry 3 belts.
I think one belt is the acclaimed belts, like the scissor belts. I think they just carry them around as like a gloating piece, bargaining, like a brag. And then they have the ROH trios titles and the AEW trios titles.
It's too many belts, man.
Yeah. I mean, there was only 2 recognized championships there, and the third one is just like a gloating piece. So
I mean, what did I say on the one podcast? There's 70,000 wrestlers and 70,000 titles.
Yep.
So cool, good talk. AEW is doing AEW things.
We love to see it. Or do we?
The best way to explain what's going on there right now.
Yeah, I'd say that. And with that, I think now would be where that rounds out the show for this week. One last little bit. We got the best in wrestling this week. Do you have your offering?
No.
Okay, maybe I can go first. I'm trying to think of one on the fly, but I would say my best in wrestling this week is Randy Orton. I think he's been building this. He's been carrying the build to the eventual feud with Cody. Cody's the oblivious babyface, not seeing anything coming, and Orton constantly looking over his shoulder, constantly looking at, like, hinting toward it, hinting that he wants the title. Anytime Cody mentions the title, Orton's eyes go right to it, to the belt, lock onto it. Cody saying, when this bloodline business is over, you're going to have a lot of men coming after this title. I think Orton's going to be the first in line. And I'm excited for it. I think Cody versus Randy is a feud that could carry WWE into the holiday season, the fall and winter, and maybe even into the beginning of next year. Cody versus Randy could be a solid Royal Rumble title match. Yeah, man, it should be really interesting. It could have main evented a WrestleMania, but with the timing and with The Rock waiting in the wings, I think we're getting that Rock Cody match at Mania 41. So it's fine to have it now, I suppose. They'll make the most of it. It'll definitely beef up those other shows leading in. A close second, I just want to shout out Jacob Fatu. This man once again killing everybody and flying like he is a cruiserweight, but he's not a cruiserweight, and that's obvious. Dude's insane. He's going to be a star, and I can't wait. What you got, Emil?
I would say either Joe Hendry. My backup would be maybe Seth. I think Seth's promo.
Okay.
I do like Seth's promo. I like the whole interaction, that whole segment.
Yeah, that's sick.
I was quite into it. I thought that was, more cinema. These two are, if nothing else, they're the master of blurring the lines.
Sure.
I mean, we know how good Punk is at making people think that he's upset and angry at things that we don't know.
Yep.
And then, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Nice. All right. So I think with that being said, right before the hour and a half mark, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Vacant Wrestling Podcast. We made great time this week. Little shorty. Maybe next week we'll have a full episode because we'll have this coming week of wrestling to look forward to. And yeah, we're building on the road to SummerSlam, and I couldn't be more excited. We'll see where it goes. But for now, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Vacant Wrestling on YouTube, Vacant Wrestling on TikTok. Make sure you drop us with a follow over there. Like all the videos, comment, get in the conversation. We really appreciate that. We're going to have a bunch of clips from this episode, and we have clips from previous episodes on the pod as well. Maybe we'll get the Raw and Smackdown reviews done this week. I don't know. It all depends on if I have time to do them. Those will be on our YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed there. Hit that bell icon over on YouTube if you're watching from over there to get notified whenever we put out some content. And y'all, from Vacant Wrestling to you all, have a great week. We really appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Monday, because on Sundays we talk wrestling. Isn't that right?
Indeed.
All right, y'all. Take it easy.